Unit 3. Skills Test. Long listening. 7.
Today on Money Matters, we have Amber Lewis, a financial expert from Capital Holdings, to give us some tips on saving money. So, Amber, you've been advising businesses about ways to save money for over 10 years. What can you tell us that would be useful for people running a small business?
Right. Well, where do I start? I think that the fundamental thing to be aware of is accounting. By that, I don't mean that all small business owners should learn the same skills as an accountant. What I mean is accounting in the sense of being able to account for or know where your money goes and where your business tends to overspend. Without this knowledge, the techniques for saving I'm going to talk about aren't very useful.
By this you mean people need to have a good overall understanding of their expenses.
Exactly.
And you mentioned techniques. Could you give us an example or two?
Of course. Something that I always recommend to my clients is to use credit and debit cards differently. Use your debit card for essential everyday business expenses, things like stationery, travel, website and communication costs. By doing this, your current account will always be up to date and your bills paid. Then your credit card can be used for one-off larger items like office equipment. That way, you'll be able to see if you can afford each item because you'll know how much money you'll have available.
That makes sense to me. And I imagine that system stops people from using their credit cards too often.
It can do, but not always. As with most things that require self-control, people need to remember that it will take time to change their behaviour. If someone is in the habit of using their credit card a lot, they may need to monitor what they are buying more closely for some time.
Of course, these things don't automatically become routine.
The next thing I want to talk about is not really a technique, but more of a habit. Once a year, schedule some time to sit down and evaluate your business services to see if you can save money. There are two aspects to this habit. Firstly, decide if you still need all of them. For example, do you need a company telephone, or would it be better to use some free video conferencing software? And then, when you've worked out what is essential, do some research on different suppliers. Look at any delivery companies you use, as well as electricity and internet service providers. You may be able to get a better deal by switching to another supplier.
So this is just like managing your personal finances, really?
In many ways, it is similar, but the finances of businesses are likely to change more frequently than our personal finances, so it is more important. Regularly reviewing the financial needs of a business can actually make quite a big difference to your costs.
Right. And I was wondering if you have any advice about government assistance, things like grants or benefits that small businesses can apply for.
That's a great question. There is a lot of government help available for small businesses, but it can be difficult to know how to find out about it. One reason is because the help is not the same. It depends on the sector you're working in and the type of help you might need. There are different helpline numbers you can call for tourism, construction, management, retail and so on. And my advice is to call rather than looking the information up on the website, because that can be confusing. The advisors on the phone are very helpful.
Well, thank you, Amber. I'm sure your advice has been extremely valuable for our listeners.